Okay, so for this next video, I'm going to show how to do a zoom out effect, where you start with a very tight shot with the photograph, and then you zoom outward to fill up your entire screen with the photo. It's going to be filled in the whole time, but you're going to start with a narrow perspective of it, and then you'll zoom out to it. So as it turns out, in my project file here, I start talking about like live streaming and working with technology. So at this point in my timeline, I think it would be a logical thing to actually have a stock photo of some of the technology we use in television broadcast. Well, as it turns out, I already have gathered this. So I'm going to click import, and I'm going to move my video out of the way. And one of the pieces of technology that we use is I have a shot of a soundboard and a camera. So I'm going to actually pick that shot right there. And what I'm going to do is, obviously the aspect ratio of the video is 16 by 9, and the aspect ratio of this particular uh, picture doesn't match that. It's probably more like 16 by 9 height, and then 16 by height, and then 9 by width. But I'm gonna try to put this into the project anyway by clicking and dragging it into the timeline. So here I go. I'm gonna click the item, and I'm going to move it into the timeline. And the first thing that you notice is that it doesn't quite fit into the project. So I'm going to have to actually make it bigger. So the way you do that is you double click on it. And we use the same method we did before, where we want to make it all the way the size and width of our project. So now what we wanted to do with this one is actually we wanted to start with it zoomed way in, and then we want to have it zoom out to go away. So the way that you do this is actually we're going to zoom in a little further than 405%. We're going to go all the way to about right here. And yes, it appears a little faded and pixelated, but it's going to give a good example of the technology that we use. So the second thing that we got to do with this then is we have to put keyframes in. And in this case, instead of putting keyframes for the position where it moves either up or down or north or east and west, whatever you want to do, this one is actually going to just decrease in scale from its current point. Because right now, if you're looking at very closely, it says 710. This picture is at 710 percent, like 7%, like 7 times its normal size here as it is. So in order to do a keyframe, you have to click on this toggle keyframes, this little stopwatch looking icon. And when you do, it automatically makes a keyframe right there. I wish I could zoom the screen in even further, but there is a little half diamond right there that tells you that we've created a keyframe. So now the next thing we want to do is I'm going to move this timeline over, and I'm going to pick the image that I want it to be at the end, which means I'm actually going to zoom this back out. So by doing this, I'm going to click on the scale point, and I'm going to go all the way to the left till about right there. See, now I know that the photo fits in there. So another thing that we can do is we've just put that in motion, and we made it zoom out as it went out. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so I would really like for it to also end with the camera being shown. So we just applied motion to the scale, which has allowed it to zoom out. I'm actually going to also apply motion, the initial keyframe to the position. So I'm going to click position, and I want the end. So now it has a keyframe for its current position, and I'm going to move over here. And the other thing is I want to move it. I want it to go up a little bit so that we can see the camera. So in order for you to manipulate the height of the photograph, what you have to do is you actually have to manipulate the smaller number here, 540. And if I click up like that, now it's got the end point as being there. So now watch what happens when we actually look at the photograph as it's fading in. It was not really fading. We haven't applied any transitions, but watch how it zooms and it repositions itself slightly. So that's how we moved the photo. So in addition, in this video, did we do scale? We actually manipulated the position. But that's one of the ways that you can apply keyframes in order to edit and add motion to a photo.